they may get a rude awakening this time. No doubt Mr. Holness will be going out there and still trying to, as he has already started his road tours, and he's going into every constituency, he says, and he's not writing off any constituency. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be an uphill task, because the fact is that many of these MPs who won in 2020, they have not been performing, and they have not kept in touch with their constituents. And there's a lot of disgruntlement among many labourers to say they're not seeing the MP not paying them no mind. And now that the election time comes, they are resurfaced.
And of course, we will be keeping your company as well as you will be keeping our company throughout the next 4 hours on the Stepping Razor today. It's going to be an action-packed program, you don't know, consciousness and things. I don't know, it's Marcus Garvey week, you know. Yeah, remember all roads leading to IRFM on Sunday I come. August 17, we're talking about Marcus Garvey birthday. And it's all about the Mwalemu Garvey celebrations. Make sure it's going to be, as usual, very educational. It's also one of the premier edutainment events in Jamaica. You can't afford to miss out on that. Yes. So make sure to catch it. Of course, enough of today's program will be surrounding Marcus Garvey and him works and him philosophies and him songs and them thing there. And it's, so it's just one of them days. We also will be working alongside DJ Commercial. They don't know, say, him run things and him ready, And I wanted him time there when him run things. So we'll be working alongside him today. And it's all about, just straight edutainment today here on the Stepping Razor. So much things happening in the world and Jamaica at large. And, we just all cut and go through with sayings and with things and all, what we feel is topical. And you don't know, so we're going to have a very interesting discussion a little later on as well, looking at the political landscape currently in Jamaica. So you won't want to miss that as well. Seeing my peeps? So it's good to be here. Bless up all the people in downtown. You don't know, so we're not left out down a market, Coronation Market, and all of downtown. Bless up on ourselves. We're talking about from Raytown, come straight across Southside and Tel Aviv and come down to down a Parade and cross Darling Street and then place to come down to Coronation Market over by Lizard Town. Yeah, man, bless up on yourself. Seeing also going up Collie Smith Drive and all them places, the whole of downtown and the whole of South St. Andrew and the whole of South East St. Andrew as well. Bless up on yourself. Warwick, Hill and Bulby, Harborview. Yeah, man, you don't know some is a town, man, so you don't know some have to big up town people, I'm saying. So, we are up on our first break on the Stepping Razor today. We come back with much, much more. And Eric Hines from back in the day, from before me even born, them song you're playing now, but you don't know, so it's all about man and woman story from ever since. It has always been with us, man and woman story. Yes, man. You don't know, so we can't live without them. Sometimes we try to live without them, but that's how it go. And vice versa. Yeah, man. Ultimate man and woman story. This is a Stepping Razor on IRFM. We have so much things to say with little time, but as we say, we have been living in some interesting times here in Jamaica. And of course, you don't know, well, we are at that time of the year, or that season will come around every 5 years, where the excitement starts, as Jamaica will be going to the polls to either rehire or fire the most honorable right now that is running the country. And it's going to be a very interesting time from here on in. Of course, date set for September 3, nomination day next week, Monday. We're going to have a discussion on that a little later on in the program. And it's going to be a very interesting one, because, we are going to some little nitty-gritties in terms of how, the two options, the two main options, actually. Because here's some new options coming into the mix. And that's going to be very interesting. We don't know how the third thing go already in Jamaica, but here's we have around 4 or 5 options that will be presenting themselves to the electorate. But we're going to talk about that. This is just a little preamble, a little preview towards that. So, we as black people need to stay out of and just watch, from the outside. You don't know, say, we not like, say, lives are lost. I want to like, say, the casualties, them. I want to like, say, this constant, destabilization of certain peoples. But the reality is, it is a white man war. See? And Marcus Garvey had things to say about, how we people should secure our future, And Marcus Garvey had a thing we talk about the struggle for the future. The struggle for the future, see? And what Marcus Garvey says is that having had the wrong education at the start of his racial career, the Negro has become his own greatest enemy. Most of the trouble I've had in advancing the cause of the race has come down to Negroes. And one at a time, he said, Booker T. Washington aptly described the race as, in one of his lectures, stating that we are like crabs in a barrel. None would allow the other to climb out. But on any such attempt, all would continue to pull back into the barrel. That one crab that would make the effort to climb out. Yet those of us with vision cannot desert the race, leaving it to suffer or die. Looking forward to century two, we can see an economic and political death struggle for the survival of the different race groups. So Marcus Garvey said, looking forward to a century or two, we can see an economic and political death struggle for the survival of the different race groups. Many of our present-day national centers will have become overcrowded with vast surplus populations. The fight for bread and butter and position will be keen and severe. The weaker and unprepared group is bound to go under. That is a very crucial thing when I'm saying, the weak and unprepared group. How prepared is the race generally? I think collectively, if we get up tomorrow morning and believe in ourselves, we can rule the world. But boy, our mind is such a thing that is keeping us under, and we can't see beyond certain things as a people. Seeing? So right now we continue to be the weakest race based on what we are seeing, but we can also be the strongest race if we open our eyes. So it's a thin line. And Marcus Garvey warned that the fight for bread and position will be keen and severe, and with the weaker and unprepared group going under. And that is why visionaries as we are in the UNIA are fighting for the founding of a Negro nation in Africa. And when we say Africa, we don't necessarily mean say everybody must head towards Africa, but we are talking about Pan-Africanism as well. Yeah. And all Pan-Africanists know what I say. Yeah, man. So, we're sitting and we're watching, and we see what is happening with the white man war, and we don't want business with that, but at the same time, we need to, as a people, get our act together once and for all. And that is why events like what we have on Sunday are coming at IRFM, it is really one of those events that is there to lead us towards certain consciousness. And of course, in the age of mass communication and mass media now, it can reach out far and wide, east, west, north, and south. And, who is there to be inspired will be inspired, as we always do. I know, say every year. All right, so this is a stepping razor on IRFM. Roger, Concrete Asphalt here holding the fort for Motor. Back nationally, you don't know, some topical things have been happening in recent weeks. What has been making the round? One of the things that has been making the round is school bus them. Why? I don't know. I know a lot of people have, contrasting views and opinions about these school buses. Me's a man kind of dip on the fence still, because I'm really appreciative that effort have been made to, have a rural school bus system. I think it's long overdue. But irrespective of that, you don't know, say, everywhere cannot be served by the actual school bus or the school buses. There will have to be a point where, some code sharing will have to continue no matter what, you know. And of course, when you talk about like the nitty gritty rural Jamaica, we are talking about deep rural Jamaica, you don't expect the big yellow bus them all go up all, say like a place like say up all up a compound. You think that the school bus can go up there, so? Or up in a Kiel and Geisel and them place there. Yeah? Or, you know, if you talk about all places all along a Portland, they up in a Moortown and them long and winding roads, country roads in a Hanover and St. James and all them places there. No, you know, feel say they go realistic for that. So, I know people have been saying that, you know, they don't think it was a good idea for the buses them itself, second-hand bus them particularly, to be in Jamaica. You know, if we are a first world country, then if we are heading towards being a first world country or first world status, then when you have them things that, you know, Jamaica need, people, you know, like, just like the new bus them, people have said them bus they should have new too. You understand? But me have a problem with the car still, you know. The cars, and then when you check out, you know, the cars to them bust up on the internet and all them things, then you see that they are varying cars. Some of them bust the cars all $1,500, you know, $5,000, $3,500. So me personally, me no believe that the maths are add up certain way. But me no want to delve too deep into that because we are going to have a little discussion a little later on. So I'm kind of uncomfortable with that. But I'm comfortable with the fact that they make an effort to have a rural school bus system where it can go far away and then the other part where the locals now will take over. Because as I say, me no feel say every little nitty gritty up in the rural area can be served by the school bus system, seeing? And we say we have been seeing pictures of some of them because you don't know them are second hand. And some of them, you know, having issues. We see rotten tires. We see buses park up. Every day you see a new picture with one of them each up a roadside. You know, we see issues like some of them can't reverse. Them kind of thing there. But everything should be good, I would suspect, come September. And you don't know, say it are coming at a time when it will be election time. And that is gonna be that is also another story, as people feel say, boy, maybe the election should have been, or the school year actually, because you can't put aside the election, but the school year should have start the following week. You know, why start it and then pause it for 2 days and then go back and then the same week and then, you know. So you have some educators who are also uncomfortable with that. But speaking about the rural areas and them thing, the road them body, man. Cheese and peas. Remember the government, they said them have a spark program. But when we check a stock, the spark now going to start really spark until in October after the election. So that's another thing again. Boy, me on my treks to do my community program them a week time, boy, I tell you, man. I tell you, sorry for my car more time. Yeah, man, the other day I go up in a St. Mary, the boy, I tell you, man. The road them stay bad. Sometimes you go up all in a Sparling there. All that main road run from Sparling to Alexandra and Brownstone along that stretch there, which is a very crucial stretch. And good God, man, that is a stretch where them really should have concentrated on, because a lot of traffic that moves from south to west and from south to north and vice versa through the middle of Jamaica there. So that corridor there should have been a very, very smooth process based on the traffic and the connection between one part of the island to the next. I tell you, it is bad. But This is the Stepping Razor on IRFM, and we'll be having much more on the program a little later on. So it's back to school time again. Yeah, man, for real. You're hearing it in the ads, and we are seeing people getting busy. We see the bookstores them getting busy. We see people getting busy downtown and around town, you know, the school uniforms and all the necessities for back to school. We don't know, say it's a kind of time where, you know, bring on, you know, some form of, you know, pressure upon people. But if you prepare consciously, then, you know, you should not be that pressurized, you know, the back to school time, yeah. So once you prepare yourself consciously, once you have youth, you just prepare yourself consciously. You know, so when this time come, you know, you prepare to deal with the costs that are associated with back to school. Because I don't know, we used to hear so the men and women of today were the children of yesterday, or the children of today will be the men and women of tomorrow. I remember I was actually youth, we used to say that. I can't believe, say, boy, we are the man and woman of tomorrow that I was talking about back in them days there. So, yeah, man, we have to prepare for the youths then. All right, so we continue with the Stepping Razor today. And, you know, this is a kind of message that was in the middle of the 1970s. Bob Marley. All right, yeah, man, Isa Char thanking the politician them. You know, make no sense because them, you know, because you have to thank them, as Isa Char say. But we have a special guest, you know, a veteran journalist, veteran political commentator, former MP. Yeah, man, one of our elders in the business. I want to say welcome, Mr. Lloyd B. Smith.
Thank you very much. Happy to
be here. How you doing, Uncle?
How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks. Yeah, man.
Blessing.
All right, sir. So, the Prime Minister, him fly the gate. Yeah. It is September 3. Monday coming is a nomination day. So, I'm going to ask some questions and just to get a particular kind of a way for the people kind of understand. So, the JLP is saying that they should be re-elected because, you know, them have achievements. And the PNP has said, boy, time come. And you have mentioned to fire or to rehire. Why should, we're going to ask a question this way first. Why should people be skeptical of both?
Of both parties?
Yeah, and what they're coming with now, heading into the election. Why people should be skeptical as to the promises and the so-called achievements, and on the other hand, the opposition, why should they be skeptical of this time come? Well, what would be in people's mind because just by being skeptical?
Yes. Basically, over the years, the Jamaican people have become convinced that there's a lot of what we call samphire in the system, whereby the politicians, for the most part, make a lot of promises during an election campaign. And then after the campaign, many of those promises are not kept. And usually when it comes around for another election, the one that is in power will sort of try to hurry up and get as much done so as to reconvince those who would have voted for them. And so there's this tremendous trust factor. There's also the issue of how MPs relate to their constituents, because in many instances, once the MP has been elected, he or she becomes missing in action. The constituents can hardly ever see them. And if they do, they sort of response that they would expect as to what they were getting during the election campaign, because during the election campaign, they get hug up, they get kissed on cheek, they get a letter, all sorts of wonderful niceties happen. But now that the person is elected, it's almost like the romance is over, you know.
Yes.
and so the people feel spurned, and you often hear the complaint from people in various constituencies saying, "Me not see me MP, me could tell last day me see him When him a drive past, him drive past 19 feet vehicle and not even wave to me. So there's that disconnect.
All right, so we'll get that out of the way. Why you think people would have been skeptical? Why people now should embrace what both are saying?
Well, the fact is that there are two things at play here. One is that in the very final analysis, one of them will have to be elected because we are in a democracy. And in that democracy, we have to choose a government. And it is your vote that makes that decision. And so from that perspective, yes, the time has come for persons to exercise their democratic right. Of course, based on what we have been seeing happening in recent years, many Jamaicans have been turned off from the system, and we have been seeing consistently lower and lower voter turnout. I think the last election was about 37.5%, which means that the majority of the Jamaican electorate did not participate in the election. And based on the feedback I'm getting now on the ground, it looks as if we may again have a similar scenario playing out. There's a saying that bad politicians are elected by people who do not vote. So
yes,
it could be a case where you say you're not voting and then, it doesn't help you in the final analysis. So maybe you should just try and vote and see if things may go the other way.
Yes.
But the fact is that, especially among the younger generation of Jamaicans, they don't feel that government care for them and really looking out for them. And so what we are now seeing is that the politics has become transactional. In other words, what can you let off on me? No. Don't tell me say you're going to do this next year or the year after. When you think you're going to give it to me now. I remember one MP the other day saw me and said, "Boy, Lloyd, I'm distressed." I said, "What's the problem?" He said he was in his constituency and he was speaking to this lady and she was complaining that, from he has been elected, she has been benefited in any way. And he said to her, "Well, look, I'll just give you a nice carpet, a nice road, well asphalted and everything." And she looked at him and said, "Asphalt can't yam." You understand? You understand where we're going? So there are what we call the bread and butter issues, the kitchen table issues.
Yes.
And very often governments tend to look at the big picture, what we call the macroeconomic picture. The big talk about GDP and all this sort of thing. But those big things don't translate into when I go to the supermarket necessarily when I have to buy a pound of flour or bread, that I'll be able to afford it.
Yeah, so in essence, the micro is a serious issue. That the micro is the everyday man, like me and you and Oop on the street. Yes. And so the politicians very often live in what I would refer to as in the clouds. Because they are saying, yes, we pass IMF tests and inflation, we fight, and everything is looking hunky-dory in terms of the gross domestic product and blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't translate into my being able to pay my fitness school fee or to go to the supermarket and be able to come out with enough goods to serve me for the week. So this, I think, is one of the critical factors that will be facing the Holness administration at this time, because from all indications, and it is fair to say that this JLP administration has done much in terms of stabilizing the economy and so on and so forth. As we say, the big picture, the macroeconomic things are in place. But on the other hand,
when you drill down now to John Public, Master, Miss Jane, the reality is they're not feeling this so-called prosperity.
Yes. Yes.
You know, they're not feeling it. And I think this is where the JLP is in fact in trouble. On the other hand, the PMP has sensed this based on their going out into the field and talking with people and so on. And so they have latched on to that and are seeking now to overturn the apple cart, so to speak, and to get into power. The reality is that for the average Jamaican, there's still the feeling that they are not going to see much of a difference. I heard a gentleman on a recent program saying that, you know, it's a case of room for rent, apply within, when I go out, you come in. So what we are seeing now and what may happen, we are not absolutely sure it will, but traditionally, historically in Jamaican politics, parties usually get 2 terms. It's only once that we have had a situation where P.J. Patterson was able to get a 3rd term. And because the feeling with the Jamaican people traditionally has been, all right, we give you 2 chances, now come out, maybe we give the other side a chance. And there is still that sentiment out there even at this point in time. So what that means is that no matter how much the JLP may have done, they will face what we call the incumbency syndrome, meaning that you have been in power for long and people tired, you know, and they want to see a new face and they want to feel a new thing.
All right.
You know?
Let us look at one of the things that would have helped Holness in the past 2 elections is that he was the man, and I mean, a lot of his candidates latched onto him and his popularity and so on. Now we get the feeling now that has waned. I mean, he's almost every man for himself now. I mean, how critical could that be?
It is going to play a very critical role in the election, because it is fair to say that in the last 2 elections, a lot of the members of parliament that won on the JLP ticket did so on his coattail, so to speak.
Yes.
This time round, it may not necessarily be so. I think it is fair to say that he has lost a lot of his sheen, the broad popularity, and the polls have been showing this. He's no longer there. He has been trying now to see if he can revive it, but it's not really working as much as I think he would have hoped. And it means that a lot of these MPs who have not been performing and were hoping that somehow with his presence things could turn around for them, they may get a rude awakening this time. No doubt Mr. Holness will be going out there and still trying to, as he has already started his road tours, and he's going into every constituency, he says, and he's not writing off any constituency. But it's going to be an uphill task, because the fact is that many of these MPs who won in 2020, they have not been performing, and they have not kept in touch with their constituents. And there's a lot of disgruntlement among many labourers to say they're not seeing the MP not paying them no mind. And now that the election time comes, they have resurfaced. And that now sets the scenario for a lot of transactions that have to take place. So a man going to say to the MP now, so all right, you want me to put you back? What can you do for me now? Me need zinc, me need some block.
Tank.
Me need a tank.
Yes.
We need
them thing there. You need chicken. You need chicken. Yeah. And, fertilizer, them thing there.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
And so that's where we're heading now, you know. A lot of transactions are going on. And of course it also brings in the aspect of vote buying.
Yes.
You know, unfortunately, that is part of the reality.
And on the other hand, now the opposition leader, can his candidates ride on his coattail, as you mentioned about, or is it a case where they on their own can pull it through for the opposition?
Well, the thing is that Golding started out with a tremendous deficit in that many Jamaicans felt that he was not a Jamaican. There was thought that he was British, and there is still that talk being pushed that he's not a Jamaican. He has tried his best over these many months, talking patois, even cussing bad word one time. you know, and so he has that uphill task. He has done reasonably well, in fact, because I am amazed that at this point now he seems to have become quite comfortable among the masses. So much so that some people talking about him is another Michael Manley, which I don't know if that is correct. But there is
I don't think I agree with that either.
No, I don't necessarily agree with that. But he has come a long way, and even in the polls we have seen where his popularity ratings have in fact gone up. Not as much as perhaps it ought to, but it has moved in a positive direction. So he has that uphill climb, and he has some, I don't know, I think the best thing going for him right now is that he has very little baggage, in the sense that he doesn't come in with a lot of scandals, because, most of politicians do have some baggage. In the case of Mr. Holness, as you well know, he's running with the Integrity Commission and this whole thing about illicit enrichment.
But is the masses watching that, though?
Huh?
Is the masses watching that, though?
In a sense, I tell you in what way they are watching it. Based on my own drilling down and listening to people, you pass through a little bar or on the sidewalk and you listen to what people are saying. There is the feeling that they are at their level suffering. They can't buy the white rum as often as they want. They can't one patty and a cocoa bread and a drink now almost they can't afford it. So they are saying to themselves, boy, this man going there and he started out at X and now he's at Y. Rotten rich now and me still out here suffer. So what a go on? So there is that aspect to it, and it's an underlying factor because it is not a question of saying that he is corrupt, so to speak, but for them they are saying if him can reach the so and if so, everything is now hunky dory for him. Why he never make sure that we can even reach halfway, quarter, we are a few inches up. That is the sort of mentality I'm picking up, and it could therefore affect how some people at the grassroots level vote. The fact of the matter is, though, is that we are living what I call in a Nancy country. And what I mean by that, Nancy, the culture is, everybody are trying and the hustling mentality out there, the scamming, the bandulism, and so on. And unfortunately in Jamaica, there is still that overwhelming feeling that a man have to try a thing.
Yes.
And not wrong if you try a thing. The only time when it's wrong is when you get caught.
Oh, boy.
And that's where we have reached. But I still believe that in the finals, that will not necessarily be his downfall or the JLP's downfall. You'll recall in not the 2020 election, but in the 2016 election, the PMP spent a tremendous amount of time talking about his big house. You remember that?
Yeah,
and they spent a lot of time on that, saying him have this big house, we get this big house from.
But can he survive this one? But that was big. But the new one is also big. So he could still survive.
He could still
That
survive
onslaught.
this one. He could still survive, but I think it could still have a dent in his armor, and it could still cause him to lose the election, and not necessarily by people voting against him, but by people not voting at all. You see, what is going to happen in this election is that the two parties have bases, and the two bases are almost the same. I think historically, the PNP base tends to be a little bit bigger than the JLP base. So, but what usually happens, for example, in the 2020 election, a lot of coverage, a lot of people in the PNP did not vote because of, the all sorts of problems in the PNP at the time. Right? This time round, the party is very much energized. The base is fully energized. So that is where the JLP could have a serious fight.
Can both, let us look at the bases. Can both bases pull it for them, pull them over the line, or they'll definitely have to rely on those who are not voting and the undecided?
All right, look at two scenarios. If the bases, if the two bases come out in full, then they will have to go find a way to pull in a few uncommitted voters, right, to carry them over the edge. On the other hand, if for whatever reason the base does not go, because you have a situation sometimes where a lot of comrades and laborers and election, they're not voting for one reason or another.
Yeah.
Right? They may have been made certain promises that didn't come true, or they're not too like whoever, they're not like the candidate, and all sorts of reasons. So this is where now the mobilization comes in, the organization comes in, right, on the ground. And this is why I strongly believe that this election is going to be won on election day, and the party that is greater at mobilizing, organizing, bringing out its people is the one that will win. It's not going to be just a question of who is popular and who is not popular.
Yes. So we're in some interesting time. The PNP launched its manifesto, I think, 2 nights ago.
Yes.
The JLP is supposed, I know they have a press conference today. I don't know if it's their manifesto launch, but I know they had something today. Based on what we are seeing in this initial manifesto from the PNP, how is it looking? Is it something that can be resonating with the people?
Some aspects of it, yes. I've already begun to resonate with the people. Housing is always a very critical issue for Jamaicans. House and land. Every Jamaican wants to own a little house for himself, a little tuku as they call it. And every man and woman would love to know that they have a piece of land. And the PNP is focusing a lot on those two issues, and I think they will resonate. Also, the creative industries, I see they're putting a lot of emphasis on that, which for too long we have been playing around with that. I mean, we keep talking about Bob Marley and reggae and jerk, this and that, and we are not monetizing that aspect of our Jamaican culture, which is very rich and which could enable us to achieve economic independence if we take it seriously, And I think when I look at the PNP manifesto, they seem to have caught on to that. And if they pursue it, it would do very well for the country. I see they have also gone for some populist things, for example, making Miss Lou and Bob Marley national heroes. I see they're going after having at least one Rastafarian in the Senate and a Maroon representing those little things.
And also audio part of in the Jamaican vernacular.
Also a version in Patois.
Yeah.
Because this is something that we tend to overlook, because sometimes when I hear some of these politicians talking on the platform, you know, I said to myself, I didn't realize that they are talking about the head of the people. You know, the first Jamaica's first language is not English, you know.
True.
Our first language is dialect, the Patois, you know, and unfortunately we allow what I call the upper St. Andrew mentality to take over. And if you don't speak proper English, then you are looked down on, you know, and which is why, for example, sometimes our athletes and our entertainers, most of whom come from the grassroots level, are sometimes not treated as well as they ought to by the so-called upper crust of the society, because they don't talk their language, you know, and this is unfortunate. So I think the PNP now saying that it is going to legitimize the patois and make it part of our, you know, part of us. And even in the school system, when you're teaching, I used to be a teacher of English in my very young years. And what I found is that sometimes in order to reach the students, you have to talk the patois with them. And then you gradually go back into the English and show them the difference and so on. It's a very critical thing. And so those sorts of things that the PMP has been zeroing in on, I think are good things, you know. We all know that the biggest problem with the PMP over the years is that their biggest problem has always been the perception that they are not very good at managing the economy. You know, they run with this mentality and that sort of thing. This time round, they are saying, based on this manifesto, that they will ensure that they don't go that route, that they will make the economy grow. Right now, the economy is in fact stagnant. We're looking at about barely 1% growth. Now, they are saying that they are looking at a 3% growth. That would be magnificent if that did happen, you know, but we just have to wait and see, because it won't happen overnight.
Yeah. All right. On the other hand, no, we have not yet seen the manifesto of the ruling party, but they would say they have things going for them, like the reduction in crime. Like the reduction in crime, which is a major thing in Jamaica, and they're gonna point to that and they're gonna live on that. Can that be something that helps them over the line, if they are to go over the line?
In the middle and perhaps upper middle class section of the society, it may well help to persuade voters. But I think that in the inner city communities and in the very rural, poor communities, where we have seen so many killings, police killings, for example, I'm not saying that all of these guys were angels, but the feedback I'm getting, you know, somewhere along the line, there's a big question mark.
Because the extrajudicial has gone up over 100%.
Extrajudicial killing. There's had that day past that police don't kill somebody, you know. Practically every day I listen to the news, another man gets shot and dead. And remember, these are fathers, brothers, cousins coming out of these inner city communities, coming out of these poor rural communities. And it could have a negative effect on the government, I must tell you. You know, it can. The fact that crime is down, fantastic, yes. But as I said, for the upper middle class, it's a good thing for them, because they want to make sure, you know. But for the poorer class of people who have to face certain things every day, I don't know if that alone can help. But it will help, because people are beginning to feel safer. And I think that is one feather in the JLP's cap. But the fact is that when you talk to people, do you feel safer now? You don't get a resounding yes. There is still an element of fear out there in the wider society.
And one thing before we start to wrap, or we are about to wrap, the polls have indicated that the ruling party have remained flat over a long period of time. The opposition, they were up, but they are coming down, but still have within a margin.
Mm-hmm.
In the last couple of weeks leading up to now, can we say that is a set scenario based on what one is picking up on the ground?
Yeah, I think it is still neck and neck because, as you quite rightly stated, the JLP has remained flat, which has come as a surprise to the JLP itself, because that's one of the major reasons why Mr. Holness did not call the election earlier, because going down to the wire can be very, very hazardous for a party in power. But he had to hesitate because of this flatness that was out there. The party had got a momentum after the November conference. It had a big, fabulous conference in November last year. And they came out on that big hype. But it has dwindled down. And the party has not been able to bring, itself up to that level that it was coming out of conference for a number of reasons. One of them is, quite frankly, as I said, the incumbency syndrome. You have been there almost 10 years now, and people tired to see your face, they're tired to hear your voice, they want a little freshness and so on. So they are facing that issue. The PNP, in the meantime, having done very well in the local government elections, where they, in fact, got the most of the popular vote, and that is what sort of pushed them to start to say, hey, we can win the next election based on that. So they have, from that time until now, they have been really mobilizing and keeping a very strong presence out there and so on. So at this point now, it's neck and neck down to the wire. And anything can happen, any number can play, as we say. I mean, somebody might just say the wrong thing on the platform, or, any little thing now could...
Is there a definite favorite right now?
Huh?
Is there a definite favorite right now? Or is it...
A definite what?
Favorite.
Favorite?
Yeah, to cross the line first.
I don't see that. I wouldn't at this point say either party is comfortably ahead. I think both, it's a neck and neck race, like when you watch race at Kemana's party, neck and neck right now. And as I said, it's going to be a question of organization, money, and interestingly, the JLP always has been able to outspend the PNP in elections, and more so in the last two elections. This time round, it seems that the PNP has a lot of money.
Okay.
And I think that again is another factor. Of course, the JLP still has a big war chest, and it also has government resources that it can use up and play around with, which the PNP doesn't, But as I've said, and many others have said, it is going to boil down to organization on the day for you to have the machinery and the ability to pull out your voters.
Right.
And there's going to be the transactional part of it. And unfortunately, part of that transactional part will be the buying of votes.
All right, sir. A pleasure speaking with you. And thank you for joining us today. And of course, our audience would have certainly gathered much information from your contribution to the program.
I sincerely hope so. And big up to you and big up to IRFM. Continue what you guys doing. You are still number one.
Straight.
So just keep going at it, eh? All right.
One thing we know that we cross the line first all the time in our field.
Every time.
All right, man. Respect. All right, Lloyd B. Smith, veteran journalist, veteran political commentator, and this is a Stepping Razor. We're having the feature African names on the Stepping Razor, and of course, this is Roger Asphalt holding concrete, holding the fort for Muta today. So we have some names for you here. You don't know, last night we had talked to Hero Menelik, and him said the process of people even wanting to depole and change them name is a very easy process now. And, you just call the registrar and you just follow the process. And if anybody feel comfortable to depole them name, then they can take it from there. So, some names, of course, you want to give your newborns. Ade, A-D-E, a super sweet Nigerian baby boy name, and it means royal. Ade. Azibo, Malawi name meaning earth. It also has a youth connotation in Nigeria, Azibo, A-Z-I-B-O. Chike, African boy name, bold Egyptian name, meaning God's strength, C-H-I-K-E. Dakarai, this also has nicknames like Daka, Kai, and Rai. It's Zimbabwean, and it means happiness. That's Dakarai, D-A-K-A-R-I. All right, we have Hamidi, this African boy name from Kenya, translates praised or admired. Issa, I-S-S-A, God is salvation in Swahili. Jabari, another African boy name from Egypt. It means famous or brave, J-A-B-A-R-I. Kazim, mostly used in Nigeria, it means controller of anger, K-A-S-I-M, Kazim. Kendi, African boy name, can also be unisexual, it means loved one. And also another boy name, Omari or Omarai. God is the highest, O-M-A-R-I in Swahili. God is the highest. We'll move on to some girls' names, African girls' names now. Ada means first daughter or her father's daughter. Ada, A-D-A, some spell it A-D-I-A. Amarai, or Amari, possesses great strength, coming out of Arabic roots. Bahiti, Swahili, mean lucky or fortunate, B-A-H-A-T-I. Eshe, pretty simple, from Swahili, life, energy. Hasina, cute African name out of Swahili as well, means good. Jamila can be spelled with a H, J-A-M-I-L-A, or you can put a H at the end as well. With or without the H, it means beautiful. Latrice, Tanzanian baby girl name, noble woman, L-A-T-R-I-C-E. Machel, Hebrew African roots mixed. It means who resembles God. Malaika, M-A-L-I-K-A, African girl name meaning queen. Makina, used around the globe, African meaning of happy one. Nima, Swahili, N-E-E-M-A, born in prosperity. Taylor, rhyming, you can rhyme it Kayla, and it translates, she has been seen. And Zina, Z-I-N-A, and it represents a child's secret spiritual name. Zina, secret spiritual name. Yes, yes. All right, we open the lines, so I gather we have our first call. Hello, good evening, good afternoon.
Yeah, afternoon, how are you?
I'm doing fine, man. What going on?
Yeah, man, a beautiful program last night.
Yeah, man, give thanks, man.
Beautiful, I really never know, say, we have a second, like a general motor, yeah, man. Really appreciate that, man. For somebody like you, really, so black can't just say, Marcus, I have to lift me at you, man. Because And I say, if I'm I do it nobody else, so they have to do it through it. Or Jerry or Miguel. But question, General, in Jamaica, a country run by two political parties, all right? When I'm the body like a vanguard who can go to and say, well, obviously this is how I go on, so we don't need them people anymore.
You know that that is a wishful thinking, especially if you look on the history. Cause remember when Marcus Garvey formed PPP, Political Party in 1929. That was the first actual party we formed in Jamaica. As you know, you might know your history.
Yeah, might be the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course the fight where him get, where him eventually have to run left Jamaica, 1935. So in 1938 now the PNP formed. Bustamante was also on the PNP.
On the PNP,
original ticket.
That's why I love America. Educate us, bad.
Yeah, Bustamante was part of PNP, the original PNP group. He was persuaded to leave the PNP because the plantation class, him too white for them man they lead him. So I saw him break away and go form the JLP, and then he moved also the labor class.
Yeah.
I don't know. JLP did have the planter class and the labor class. And the PNP did have the middle class and the educated class. So from them time that the whole history where the two of them come down and then the two of them went to England now to negotiate for Jamaica. So the two of them negotiate says either me or you. So that's why no third party can survive.
Go to England and get more knowledge of it. Ton Jamaican poor black people in a lunatic then.
Well, some people can't interpret it that way.
Because because the thing I don't understand, I don't understand. We know none of these guys is for the black poor people. Because from 1962, my general, the people that are living in squalor until now, and you have the dynasty around the country, them father run it, them father dead, them people come run it, and within second, the people then get rotten rich. I was just there like dumb, I go through high cost of living, and dumb.
I hear one of them say the next one is for them grandchildren.
Well, I was just there. But the question I want to find out now, we have a set we have police now go around and shoot down black poor people because them farm gang. I am asking now, I wonder now, how is it that I don't know police I kick off Darrell Barr's door, or Andrew Wallace's door, or nobody door because of what does that mean? So when poor people take something and for them, we call it teeth. When these guys from Universal in a Jackson time take with billions of dollars, what we call it? But we cannot give account for $3 trillion. All right? We cannot give account the Minister of Finance. Now, I said about it all now. We buy some bus, my general. We buy some bus. It costs the Jamaican people what? $1.4 billion.
Yeah, them say 1.4 billion. You know what's a billion? You know what's $1.4 billion?
Boy, I'm a general.
All of our people don't know. When I want to hear 1.4, it sounds a little bit, but 1 billion for people who understand what a billion is. 1 billion is 1,000 million.
1,000 million.
And then the 4.4 is 400 million.
400 million, I think.
So it's $1,400 million, that's it. So,
all right, my general.
Yes. So
and we are going through high cost of living. We are going through taxes. We have police where I give a ticket to a policeman to come to you and say, oh, you don't make me stop, man. Just sit there and get ticket. You have some little police boy where I talk to some big man anyhow, and we just I go on like a business as usual, my general. The bus them we getting, the new bus them, my general, the new one them, like the 2030 and 2015 cost, what, 12,200.
What are you talking about? The new, the brand new one for passenger?
The bus them when bring down, and some old bus to get.
Oh, you mean the school bus them?
The school bus and the bus them I'm here when they now work because I do my investigation and them not work, them park up. So whatever them a stand fire with them friend and give them pocket money and come. It's the same thing like the machine, my general. The machine must cost 500. I'm not want to go over the machine must cost 500,000, my general.
Yeah.
30 million
So much.
Everything just dead, so you know.
Yeah, man. Glad to get your point across here.
General, General, the pass of them, but my general, I wish black people can have some sense and vote for a new party. Long life again to you, my general.
All right, man. Give thanks.
But we need to stop about it, because it's only coming at 34 million for the silence now. They're not even friend them and keep on black people living in a squalor. Long life to you, my boss.
All right, sir. Right, we're in the home stretch of the stepping race. We are in the home stretch of the program today. We have a quick call. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, man.
Roger, you know, it's about 5 minutes we are left, so for news time. Mr. Universe and Savlama. Yeah, man, last night the show.
A long time, man. Why, you switch back?
Yeah?
You switch back?
No, I can't switch back, man. No,
all
man,
right,
remember,
sir.
I am a person who votes for the people who is working.
All
you
right,
understand?
Sir. Yeah, man.
And I tell you that this... Hey, Roger, you know,
What go on, man?
You know, when they are traveling my load, Irish FM turn up load, 35 year happy 35, load.
Straight.
Yeah, man. But Roger, I'm telling you, I can tell you, this Prime Minister and this administration is going on excellent. Okay. You understand? Let I tell you, for 9 years, no new taxes. You understand? I see, yeah, man, and so much more is going on. You understand? So I want to say to these people, choose Jamaica. Because if you choose Jamaica, you're choosing the right thing. Because I can tell you, so much development in this country. We don't, all right, Roger, how if you have a clean out now, if we go put back somebody and go nasty up back your house? Come on. Sure.
I hear you, sir. I hear you. I hear you say no new tax, but boy, you go to the supermarket every week, the basket I dwindle further and further down. So, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I say no new tax. I go to the supermarket a week time, every week is a different price.
Oh, different price? No, but sometimes, you know, they cannot monitor that, you know, because remember, these people in the supermarket
man. Don't say the baby I pay tax, you know. If no new tax,
no new tax added.
Yeah, but
remember
the baby I pay tax. When you go buy a sweet upon the road, tax upon it, you know.
No, but remember, the items come with tax.
And that, so, everybody have pay tax now.
Yeah, everybody's paying tax, but new one added. That is what I'm saying. No new one added.
So 6.5 does not add. No new tax added, but
no new
everybody
tax
have pay tax instead.
Of course, anyway, everybody have pay tax.
Anyway, we have to run.
Yeah, man, so big up everybody. You don't know, say, you know, Sunday a big thing.
Yeah, man, a big thing for you, man.
For Irish FM, because you don't know, say.
All right, bless up.
Yeah, all of Westmoreland are rolling.
Bless up.
Yeah, man, respect, right. Manners.
Just remember Marcus Garvey. Just remember Marcus. A long time.
All right, people, remember, you know, Monday. Let me talk about Monday. Sunday, down on Irish FM. Yeah, man, Coconut Grove. Make sure you're there, you know, it's all about the biggest edutainment event in Jamaica. Marcus Garvey celebration, Coconut Grove, Irish FM. We're celebrating the life of Marcus Garvey. And you don't know, it's one of the biggest edutainment events in Jamaica. Make sure you tune in if you can make it on all our social media platforms, as well as, you don't know, Radioland. Saying, so thank you, Shane. Shane was helping us keeping your company today, Shane Clark. And I want to big up everybody, the producer, Shamara, and of course our operators standing by, assisting our broadcast assistants today. So we are heading out of the program today, Stepping Razor. Of course, Muta will be back next week. It was a pleasure sitting in for the General, and we'll catch up again sometime down in the future. Scene, bless yourselves, my people.
And now the details. The manifesto of the People's National Party has multiple spelling errors compared to a single one in the booklet of achievements by the Jamaica Labour Party. That's according to Chairman of the JLP Campaign Committee, Dr. Christopher Tufton. Speaking at a press conference today, Dr. Tufton pointed out that the PNP had criticized the JLP for spelling Jamaica incorrectly once in its document of achievements. Dr. Tufton said this was not the JLP's fault. He said the PNP's document had about 8 errors.
It clearly seemed to have been a very rushed and hurriedly prepared document, just by way of how it was laid out and the errors that were in the document forces us to conclude that not a lot of thought went into it, and clearly the time that should have been spent that one would expect for an organization that is hoping to provide leadership in the country, that was certainly betrayed based on what we saw presented to the country. Having perused the document, we found multiple spelling errors. As a case in point, we were chastised for one spelling error in our achievements document. It wasn't an error on our part, but nevertheless, we took the criticisms, and they did a lot of that criticizing. Their document had multiple, not one. I think the last count was about 8 or more, and that's just a spelling error.
Dr. Tufton said the PNP's document also had several inaccuracies.
There were several inaccuracies in the document. The one that was quite outstanding to us is the reference to, in the table of contents, of 8 pillars, then the address by their leader of 10 pillars in the document, the same document, and then the term love, Jamaica love, which has each letter referring to an area of focus, and that is 11 areas of focus. So the first question I would ask is, what is it? Is it a pillar of 8, a pillar of 10, or a pillar of 11? Clearly what it signals to us is that it is confusing, and you wonder if that is the approach that they would want to take to providing leadership as a government. I mentioned that because it sounds simple, but they made a big issue with it when they noticed the one spelling error in our document, and clearly it reflects on them and what they represent.
Chairman of the JLP Campaign Committee, Dr. Christopher Tufton. And Finance Minister Favour Williams has pointed out that there is no line item in the country's budget called discretionary funds. She was reacting to claims by the People's National Party that if it forms the next government, it will use about 10% of discretionary funds to pay for its plans and initiatives as outlined in its manifesto. Speaking at the Jamaica Labour Party press conference today, Mrs. Williams questioned the PNP's ability to govern the country if it does not even understand the budget.
As the Jamaican people are pressing for the cost of those promises, the PNP has hurriedly put out a cost. They said that their many promises will cost 10% of discretionary funds. First, I'd like Jamaicans to know that there is no major line item in the budget called discretionary funds. So for the PNP to be speaking of discretionary funds, it shows their fundamental lack of understanding of this country's budget. Jamaica's budget rolls up into some major segments: programs, 359 billion, compensation of employees, 496 billion, interest payment, 177 billion, capital expenditure, 63 billion, and then you have loan payment and loan receipts. So if they do not understand the budget, I want Jamaicans to really ask themselves, are the PNP ready to lead this country if they don't understand the budget? I don't believe that they are ready to lead this country.
Mrs. Williams called on the PNP to state clearly which of the existing line items in the budget that relates to established policies and programs it will cut to fund its manifesto promises.
But let's examine their 10%. The only line item in the budget that they could be thinking of is a line item called programs. Programs are recurring, which means they have to be provided for year after year, and includes things like PATH. And so I would like the PNP to tell Jamaicans today or any day before Election Day on September 3rd, 2025, which of these programs they will cut, eliminate, or defer into the future in order to fund their raft of promises. And I'm asking the Jamaican people not to let them off the hook with these promises that they're not telling you how they will fund them. If they can't tell you how they will fund them, then they are simply empty promises. Here today, gone tomorrow. So every time you hear them speak of these promises, ask them, how will you fund it? Will you tax us, the Jamaican people, to fund it? Will you cut something in the budget to make way for your promises? Or, like the PNP has a history of doing, will you borrow to fund it?
Finance Minister Favor Williams. Access to quality education, accountability in governance, and land ownership are among the issues that will be addressed by the People's National Party if it forms the next government. The commitments were outlined among a raft of initiatives and policies put forward by the PNP in its manifesto, which was launched on Tuesday. The manifesto, entitled Mission Jamaica Love, a Pledge to Country, stands on several pillars and is aimed at building a better life for every Jamaican. Party President Mark Golden reiterated that the PNP will review the current legislation for the Integrity Commission as part of efforts to ensure accountability in governance.
We must ensure the independence and effectiveness of the Integrity Commission to enable it to pursue its statutory mandate without fear or favor, including desirable improvements such as the modification of the so-called gag clause to achieve a workable balance between protecting legitimate reputational rights and ensuring timely disclosure in the public interest. I've said in the coming elections, there will be candidates who are under investigation for illicit enrichment, and the voters will not know who they are.
PNP President Mark Golden, meantime spokesperson on education Damon Crawford, reiterated the party's plans to implement a policy for first-in-family university students.
The first person to matriculate to university would receive, as indicated by the leader in his budget presentation, a full scholarship to the university. We have received questions about what is a family and how is a family defined. It is simple. There are two definitions to the family. The first is shared ancestry, and the second is shared roof. Any of which that child qualifies, that child will benefit from the first in the family scholarship.
Spokesperson on Education Damon Crawford. For her part, spokesperson on Youth Senator Gabriela Morris noted that the PNP will prioritize development of the island's youth through job creation and entrepreneurship.
Or young people who want to build businesses, who want to have startups, who are focusing especially on areas of technology, the creative industry. And we believe that this is a transformational program that will empower young people to build something for themselves. In terms of job creation as well, we are committed to providing 20,000 new jobs, especially in the area of tourism. We're looking at agriculture as well as the creative industry.
Spokesperson on Youth, Senator Gabriela Morris. In the meantime, spokesman on National Security, Senator Peter Bunting, said the PNP will put measures in place to guarantee safer communities.
There's a fundamental difference in the approach of the People's National Party to the existing administration. If I were to characterize the difference, I would say it's the militarization or the warrior mentality of the security forces that this government promotes versus the guardian mentality that the PNP promotes. So with a warrior mentality, our security forces go out to fight crime and enforce the law. With a guardian mentality, our security forces go out every day to uphold the human rights of our citizens.
Opposition spokesman on national security, Senator Peter Bunting. Governor General Sir Patrick Allen will dissolve Parliament tomorrow, August 15, by a proclamation issued on the advice of Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. This follows Dr. Holness's announcement that the next general election will be held on Wednesday, September 3. The dissolution of Parliament marks the formal end of the current parliamentary term and is in keeping with the constitutional requirement that a general election be held within 5 years from the date of the first sitting of Parliament Parliament following the previous election. Once Parliament is dissolved, all seats in both the House of Representatives and the Senate become vacant. Consequently, all pending bills, motions, and all unfinished business before the Houses or the respective committees will lapse. During this period, the Prime Minister, the Leader of the Opposition, all Cabinet Ministers, House Speaker, and Senate President will continue to serve in their official capacity until a new government is appointed by the Governor General following the election. In other news, Vice Chairman of the National Road Safety Council, Dr. Lucian Jones, is urging the relevant authorities to take the necessary measures to prevent road crashes during the campaign period. As politicians venture out to woo voters, there is usually an increase in motorcades, noting that 241 people have been killed in crashes since the start of the year. Dr. Jones said greater care must be taken to prevent more lives from being lost, citing data that election periods account for an extra 8 deaths. Dr. Jones said he sent a letter to the Electoral Office of Jamaica and campaign party managers expressing his concern.
I have looked at the data going back many years. I have noted that the greatest number of fatalities, or the biggest change between a non-election year and an election year is 8. But that's 8 far too many. And when you look at what happens in the period leading up to election day, which is arbitrarily set at 14 days, and looking at the data provided by the Road Safety Unit, the fact is that even though the greatest change is 8, there is potential for serious injury and for a huge increase in the number of people dying if we don't issue a caution to the political parties and through them to their political supporters.
He wants the EOJ to consider establishing clearer guidelines for campaign motorcades and roadside events, including designated routes to minimize disruption. He also wants the Electoral Office to coordinate with the police and the National Works Agency to ensure traffic management and enforcement during campaign periods.
We absolutely need during this period of campaigning. And campaigning is an important part of the democratic process. And we don't want to throw any cold water on it. We don't want to affect our culture. We don't want to dampen the enthusiasm of the voters and the party supporters. But we need to do that within the context of a high regard for safety. We well remember in past elections some horrible incidents that have happened. We don't want this to happen this year. We can do without any further increase in the number of people who are dying and the number of people who are being injured. I hope that the suggestions made in the letter to the head of the EOJ and to the party campaign managers will be regarded as something important for them to consider and also for them to respond to, so that we can have a very safe election period and that Jamaica can enter into a new era with either the same government or a new government. Whatever it may be, it's the will of the people.
Vice Chairman of the National Road Safety Council, Dr. Lucian Jones. In other news, the Southeast Regional Health Authority, SARA, says it's working closely with the police to conduct a thorough investigation into the circumstances surrounding the escape of a patient at the Kingston Public Hospital, KPH, and his subsequent death. Dead is 24-year-old laborer Michael Edwards of Alamanda Drive in New Haven, Kingston 10. In a statement today, Sarah said yesterday morning the patient forcibly breached medical restraints, reportedly assaulted a member of staff, and left the hospital premises. The incident was reported to the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Sarah further stated that the patient was returned to the hospital by police about an hour later with a gunshot wound and was pronounced dead on arrival. The JCF told RFM News that Edwards was fatally shot during an armed confrontation along West Street at about 5:05 a.m. Sarah said it is working with the JCF and other relevant authorities to probe the incident thoroughly. It said all appropriate protocols are being reviewed to establish the facts of the case and to implement additional security measures where necessary. The Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, is probing a police fatal shooting in Darlington, Westmoreland today. The identity of the deceased has not been released. INDECOM said the incident occurred late this afternoon. Further details are not yet available up to news time. 201 persons have been fatally shot by the security forces since the start of the year. The Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, is to meet with the Ministry of Finance tomorrow morning to continue wage negotiations. JTA President Dr. Mark Smith said the current 7.5% wage offer is unacceptable. He said he expects that during Friday's meeting, the ministry will make an offer that honors the hard work of the island's teachers.
The JTA has managed to secure a meeting with the Ministry of Finance for Friday the 15th of August at 10 a.m. We expect that coming out of that meeting, we will get an offer that we deem respectable and honors the hard work and commitment of the teachers across the length and breadth of Jamaica. We believe that the present offer of 7.5% and 0% in the first year is unacceptable and something that we are not prepared to accept at this point in time. We trust that the ministry will review the existing plans and make the requisite investment in our future as a country by investing in our students and our teachers.
He is hoping that the JTA's claim, which speaks to infrastructure improvement, among other things, will be taken into consideration.
It is critical that the claim that was submitted be taken into serious consideration and the wide scope of the items that have been put forward, which not only include improvements in teachers' salary, but improvements in the infrastructure of our schools, improvement in the funding of our educational interventions be taken into account among the other multiplicity of initiatives and programs that we have put forward. We are committed to the growth and development of the country and believe that we are partners looking forward to a brighter Jamaica.
President of the JTA, Dr. Mark Smith. People's National Party candidate for Southeast St. Elizabeth, Norman Scott, is calling on the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, to quickly fix the garbage collection problem in the area, including Junction. Mr. Scott said garbage has been left uncollected for several days, resulting in a rat infestation.
I'm calling on the authorities at the National Solid Waste Management Authorities to urgently deal with the garbage situation in the Southeast St. Elizabeth constituency, areas like Junction, areas like Bolsa, areas like Ballas Valley, areas like Exxon. Garbage has been uncollected in these areas for a number of days, and this has led to an overrun of rat infestation in the town of Junction. It is a shame. I call on them to do something urgently.
PNP candidate for Southeast St. Elizabeth, Norman Scott. Meantime, Executive Director of the National Solid Waste Management Authority, Audley Gordon, said he is not aware of a backlog in the area.
We found it rather strange. The Ministry of Health has not contacted us. The mayor has not contacted us. No elected representative in the parish have contacted us. None of our many contacts in the parish have contacted us. And our public cleansing inspectors who we have in the parish have not said anything to us either regarding this crisis. One, I would love better particulars. I will go into the parish and will check on it myself. But I, as of now, can report that we are not behind in the parish of St. Elizabeth. We do have areas that are challenging from time to time, and we do try to stay on top, but we are not behind. So I will have to do my own checks.
Executive Director of the NSWMA, Audley Gordon.